You're listening to the Deidre Reigel Hope and Healing Radio Show, where your voice matters. We're glad you're here and believe you will be too. And now, Deidre Reigel with today's guest.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a brand new series called Masculine and Feminine, Closing the Great Divide. Today I have the privilege of having as a guest on the show Liz Knowles. Let me tell you a little bit about Liz before I welcome her. She is a working actor in Los Angeles. She is extremely dedicated to her craft, and I'd like to vouch for the quality of her work. So if you're listening to this and you wish to hire a great young actor, Liz is your gal. And I know that from working with her in the theater where we met actually in Florida. So this is Liz's second time on this show, and she's actually the first guest being interviewed in this Masculine and Feminine Closing the Great Divide series. So Liz, welcome today.
Thank you, Deidre. I'm happy to be here.
I'm happy to have you here. I hope you're having a good Monday since we're doing this interview on a Monday. I hope everything's going well for you.
We've got blue skies. From the sliver of sky I can see from my patio window. We've got blue skies here in Los Angeles, not too much fog. It's going to be a good day.
Yes, likewise. And I'm in Colorado today, and it's a great day here. So we're going to have a great time in this interview. Liz is of I would say, the younger generation coming up into that wonderful part of her adulthood. And so I want to start with this question for you, Liz. In your opinion, is it still a man's world?
You know, it is and it isn't. In certain ways, I think that there's so much to be done to feel like it's equal, because I think that it's a man's world in that, you know, there's still mostly men in power. We've got a male president. We still have yet to have a female president, where there's still, you know, gaps in income by gender. But I think that it's changing, and women are being seen for the first time in ways that they hadn't been before, even in recent decades. And I just feel like a lot of people say the future is female, and I think that I don't really say that phrase, because I think the future is one. I think that the future is unity, and so yes, still is mostly a man's world, but I think that we're definitely moving in the right direction with a lot of women stepping up to the plate, speaking their minds and advocating for what we need to make the world a better place.
I think you'd hear a lot of agreement on that. So that causes me now to ask you, we, all of us, keep hearing about the rising of the, quote, divine feminine, unquote. It's a popular term that I find is just being bandied about everywhere these days. And so what does that mean to you, this phrase, the rising of the divine feminine? What does this mean to you, and can you tell me why?
Well, so I've had an interesting personal sort of divine feminine experience. I've had multiple journeys to gatherings of just women embracing this divine feminine energy. So one of them was in upstate New York, and it was a goddess gathering, which is literally the divine feminine. So it's embracing the goddess within each of us.
Yes.
And so the theory of this particular gathering was we are all divine because we are a part of the divine. So there is no one who's not godlike at their core, because we are all a part of God or goddess. So a lot of the gathering had to do with ancestor work and, gratitude work surrounding our mothers and grandmothers and great-grandmothers and those women who went before us, because a big piece of the divine feminine is the womb from which we are born. And without the divine feminine womb, which is a divine space, sacred space, I think yoni, which is the word in Sanskrit for female parts, is sacred space. That's what it means. So this sacred space is the birthplace of all people. And what could be more divine than that? It's basically like women have this power to produce their own universe, their own big bang, which creates people. So the divine feminine thing for me, I always end up thinking about my mother and my grandmother and about the mothers in the world and how they produce the future.
I am smiling this incredibly content and happy smile as you say this, Liz, because I think this is so important for us to realize that we women do carry the seeds of the future and we carry the seeds of the past. And we are the people who have that womb, who move things forward. It is so refreshing to hear you speak these words in such a wonderful and matter-of-fact way. Thank you for sharing that so beautifully and with such a succinct answer. So then, what do you think about the concept that all of us, both men and women, have masculine and feminine tendencies, qualities, attributes, and aspects within us?
Absolutely. So I believe that, we know that society has a huge influence on us and how we create our gender constructs and what we think is supposed to be male and female versus also masculine and feminine. And we have to remember masculine and feminine are something completely different than male and female. It's an energetic, it's something about the way in which you move through the world, not necessarily your biology. And I have always, I struggled as a kid a little bit feeling like I wasn't girly enough because I wanted to be playing in the dirt with the boys, wearing blue and green, no pink. I was not into pink really. I thought that pink was too girly. I don't know. I just was like this tomboy who wanted to be a tomboy, but then I thought maybe I should be girly, and then there was all these like shoulds. And I was saying this to Todd, my partner, the other day, how nice it has been to see the growing embracing of both masculine and feminine energies, and especially young people, because there's less of shoulding on everyone. Like, girls should do this, boys should do that. And I had a lot of that, even though what was interesting was I was involved in all the boys' activities growing up. And
yes.
So it's funny that, I had this kind of like this push and pull between both, but I've grown to just embrace that I'm kind of gruff sometimes, and I'm sporty, and I want to be out there, and I'm rough and tumble, and I'm going to do it. And then there's also the part of me that's very nurturing, and I want to cozy up with a glass of red wine and watch rom-coms. There's both sides. And it's okay to have both sides. And I think that it's been also very inspiring to be with someone. My partner, Todd, is very, he's embracing of his divine feminine sides and divine masculine sides. Like, can be very gentle and nurturing and much more gentle than me. Like, I can be like very like rough and like almost like a bull in a china shop. And he comes in and he moves through the world in a more gentle and detailed, oriented sort of way that just is much more. And some people would see that as, oh, well, that's kind of not big man stuff. Like, you got to be man, like macho man. And I don't think that that's true anymore. To be a man, you have to always be in charge and lugging huge things of wood.
I agree with you. I see that there's a change, even for our men, that they are feeling free to drop some of the need to put on the big man, macho, caveman persona. And I think there's a lot of wounding for men as much as there has been for women. And what I hear you saying, I believe, is we're all of us, masculine and feminine. We can weave those two together and be in perfect balance. And how we show up in the world and how we move through the world, as you say, is how we move through the world. And I think we're finding that more and more of the men are actually experiencing the freedom to express their divine feminine and showing up as nurturers and not feeling any less masculine or any less manly about it. In fact, I see some men in my age group showing up in their divine feminine and really being proud of it and feeling very manly as they show up in the divine feminine. Like you, I was a tomboy as a kid, and I'm all woman, and I sometimes carry a lot of what we would call masculine energy. And when it's needed, it's needed. And yet I think as we evolve here, we can go back and forth, in and out from minute to minute in whatever is needed in whatever that circumstance happens to be. So as a woman, how is it for you to experience your masculine energies and express them in your life at this point?
Well, I find it to be the yang to my yin, because without one, you can't have the other. So I think that the way I express my masculine energy is the can-do attitude, the feeling the need to provide, the feeling the need to be the one who can do things and get things done, and kind of the forward push, whereas the yin energy is a bit more gentle and relaxed and nurturing. And I'm just trying to embrace that part of me that kind of goes at it head on. And I've seen it in both of my parents. I think were ahead of their times in their balance between masculine and feminine. My mom has always had that like masculine can-do, take it head-on attitude. And my dad has also had an extreme need to nurture. He baked cookies for us, and he sewed our costumes growing up, and he, was always in the kitchen cooking for us and nurturing us. So I'm just really trying to be more like my parents. They did so many things right, and they had so much balance in their energy. So, yeah.
Yes, this is absolutely true. I don't think I've ever really known quite this much about your parents. What a wonderful example they gave you growing up, that it was okay to do both, to move back and forth. Wow. You are a very lucky girl. You're a very lucky girl to have had the parents. And I think at some point all of us come to that understanding that our parents gave us great gifts. Another subject for another time. So finally, Liz, what supportive comments would you offer other young professional women in regards to owning their divine feminine and expressing both masculine energies in daily life and work?
I think it's a lot to do with leaning into things. So sometimes a moment, like you said, will call for the masculine energy. And I think that if you're feeling resistant to it, try to lean into it. And if you're feeling like it's not your place, try to lean into it as it being your place to speak up or to do X. I've had some experiences where my can-do attitude wasn't there, and I had to do some big task like painting an entire room or like moving tons of furniture, bunking and debunking and rebunking beds and stuff like that. And I just had to pull my masculine energy from inside myself and say, okay, I'm going to do this. I don't need anyone else besides me to get this done. I don't need anyone there to protect me to say this thing.
Wow.
So that's really what I would say about leaning into the masculine. And then the feminine, it's just like enjoy your essence. And I think sensuality, and something that I've been doing, I've been taking dance classes to get me into my body and like feel my feminine energy and feel my sensuality, because that is very important for us too. So if you feel a feminine energy calling you, or if you feel like you're lacking in feminine energy, maybe take a dance class. I think it's great.
No, as a dancer, I agree. So you're really saying to all of us women, lean into that masculine energy when you feel it arise, or a situation comes up that you need to draw on that. Lean into that masculine, and at the same time continue to nurture and grow your feminine, which I believe you just used the word essence. The feminine essence. And that is beautiful, Liz. Thank you for sharing that. So the masculine strength, the feminine essence, and you're saying you lean into the masculine and you nurture the feminine essence. Is that beautiful, or is that beautiful? I think it's beautiful. What do you think, Liz?
I have to say it's pretty beautiful. I'm
as
a conduit
you are.
for beautiful things, as we all are.
Yes, indeed. So this has been such a refreshing and inspiring conversation for me, Liz, to hear from you, your opinion. Of course, I hope for the people who are listening to this that it is the same, and encourage all of us to know that we are perfect exactly as we are, and we continue to evolve into even greater and greater beings. So, Liz, I want to so thank you for taking time out of your busy day and being on the show today. And if there's anything you'd like to say before I make my parting comments, please feel free at this time.
To anyone who's listening, if you're ever in LA and you want to make a movie, on your Zoom.
That you are. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have been chatting with Liz Knowles, who is a Los Angeles-based actress and a very bright young woman with very important things to have contributed to our series. And so I wish all of you who are listening great benefit from hearing this and all sorts of goodness in your life. This is Deidre Reigel of the Deidre Reigel Hope and Healing Radio Show, wishing you a wonderful day. Thanks so much. Bye-bye for now.
Views and opinions expressed on this show are not necessarily those of the show and host. This podcast and its content are not intended to diagnose or treat any medical or mental condition or substitute for proper professional care in this regard. You've been listening to the Deidre Reigel Hope and Healing Radio Show, where your voice matters. We hope you have enjoyed this podcast and found inspiration for your own life. If you would like to be a guest on this show, please contact us at drhoperadio@gmail.com. That's drhoperadio@gmail.com. I'm Oliver Dill on behalf of all of us here at the Deidre Reigel Hope and Healing Radio Show, wishing you a day full of joy and goodness.